back to the Irish Hotspur and your favourite Irish Hotspur show, Tottenham Weekly. What we are, Tottenham TV, is back every Tuesday. Minus Sean today, by the way, but Sean is busy with work commitments, but has assured me he'll be here next week for it. Jacko, how are you keeping, my man?
Doing all right, Dave. You know, it feels like we have a few different things to address, maybe some kind of mixed bag sort of news of maybe a certain player leaving. And I think we might have an interesting debate about, what his legacy is like, at Tottenham Hotspur. Some people might be, part of, as we call it, the Lucas Moura fan club. Some people might be, looking for their moment to maybe add some context to the Lucas Moura legacy, let's say. Pochettino, of course, Dave, rejecting Chelsea, as we do know that. Good things to talk about today, I would say, but kind of, all over the place type of news.
No, lots of things to talk about. We have a scattergun approach, but that's what's out there. You've got, what have you got? You've got, do you think Enoch are more interested in a minority investment or a full buyout? We've also got Ben Davies talking about the home truths. I mean, maybe what were them home truths and stuff like that. Pochettino rejecting Chelsea. Is it out of loyalty to Tottenham, but also, are we resigned to Pochettino being our next manager? It's inevitable. There you are. That's basically what I'm saying. Clement Langley as well, another one. Would you keep him or not? And then we've also got Lucas Moura. Don't want to see any arguments over in the chat. Really not that deep or that worth it. But does he go down as a Tottenham legend? Someone like me would say no. Let's see what other people have to say. But Ben, welcome back, my man. How are you keeping, brother?
I'm good. Good to be back, my friend. I've had a few days of bursting bubbles. It's been all good. And Jacko, I think the word that you were looking for was more sexual. That was the word.
That's right. It's been a while since we've heard it because Lucas has been so absent this season, which I imagine we'll talk about. The more sexuals have been kept quiet, sadly.
Yeah, I haven't heard much from John Cooper in a while, so the leader of the Morosexual fan club has gone AWOL.
Yeah. If he hears what I have to say, he'd go absolutely apoplectic. He'd be on the next flight to Dublin, I can tell you that. Big up Stephen. He says he's waiting for the Spurs Conte goodbye. Big up Hasper as well. Big up Petrol42. Big up Shaquille Ahmad. Big up Lisa as well. Kaiser's in the house. John N. Ishak Taraftar. Got that one there. Nearly tripped me up there. We've got, I'm just going to call him Z. We've got Z in the house. KPV as well. Big up KPV. Hopefully you'll be getting into practicing on FIFA, my man, because like I said, your humiliation is coming. Karakais, big yourself up. Good to see you in the building. Same as Derek Hutchinson. We also have Hosier Hotspur. Hosier, good singer, by the way. Very good singer, that guy.
Big up Hosier.
Big up Mark as well. Replay 27. Or 3-2-1, how dare I? I don't know, I was way off on that one. Big up Jano as well, my man. Good to see you in the build-up. And big up Lewis as well. Guys, we're going to start cracking into it because it's Pancake Tuesday. I've got pancakes to eat. It's also Champions League night, so I've got
Pancake Tuesday? Because my wife had just brought me some pancakes.
Oh, lad. What's the toppings?
I'm not sure what's in them yet. Sugar, blueberries, a few different things.
Oh, I like the lemon and sugar. I like the lemon and sugar.
Is chocolate chips a thing over there? Do you guys put the chocolate chips in the pancakes? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's made it across the pond.
You can always rely on We Are Tottenham TV to keep with the team of the day. Big up Ashley. Absolutely love that. Keeping Ben fuel for the show. Everybody, we're going to crack into it. Make sure you smash that like button. Feel free to smash the subscribe button and share the stream out if you're enjoying it. And also at any stage, feel free to stop us in the tracks, get your talking points in, questions, anything you disagree or agree with us on in a super chat. It's a great way to help support the channel. But don't worry, I understand it is tough times out there. Money is tight for absolutely everybody. Even getting the essentials in is tough for everybody right now. So at least just get your thoughts and questions and all in the chat, and we'll try and incorporate them as best as we can. But look, Jacko, over to you, my man. Let's take it away.
Let's take it away. And we're going to start with maybe the news that I felt like started us off this week, I feel like, Ben, right? Where it was the Spurs maybe takeover stories just not going away. Dan Kilpatrick saying Daniel Levy has held talks with several interested parties in recent months, and there's a feeling that he and Joe Lewis are open to a deal. However, they are undecided whether to sell Spurs outright or seek a minority partner, maybe just do nothing at all, actually. And also, Qatari investors could maybe still bid for Spurs, with QSI considering making an offer for Spurs if Lewis and Levy were to signal they are open to selling a minority share. What do you think, Ben? Do you feel like the main question here is that, of course, there's interest, but do you think there's interest on ENIC's side to actually sell?
To be honest, I'm not too sure, because I've heard these stuff about potential takeover talks at Spurs for so long now. It's not even just been the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, this has been going on for a very long time, and there's been potential takeover talks from this one, from that one, and to be honest, I don't think they're really interested in selling, and I think they would be interested in selling if they got. Yeah, I don't really think they are. I think they're interested in selling maybe if they get a really astronomical bid that's like way above the valuation, but I don't really think there's interest there. I think that even if there was interest for a minority stake, I think Daniel Levy still wants full control. So I think they would consider some minority investment, but in terms of a takeover, I don't think so.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. And I feel like that's the more important question, because I think, like anything in life, right, you can always have interest, coming your way. Like, when Dave's wearing the flat cap on the streets, he has all the birds, like he says, chasing after him. But it's more about whether Dave's really interested. It's, you can always have interest on the other side of things, but it's about whether you really are interested. And in this case, I think, Spurs can continue to have a bunch of people, from the US to Qatar to Asia be interested in buying Spurs, but it's more up to ENIC, I think, whether they're actually looking into buying it. And it seems like your answer is right, that they're maybe more interested in like that sort of that little extra help, that little extra push that might come through like a minority investment. They're not looking for the full buyout.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact of the matter is, right, that they're shitting out money right now, Spurs, and they're making a killing. So what do they need? What do they need to sell for? Like, there's no reason for them to sell unless they get a really astronomical bid. Like, let's say they value the club at 4.5 billion. If they would get 5.5 billion, 6 billion, yeah, I think they would snap their hands off for that. But if they're going to get the valuation of the club, what they value it out, I really don't see them selling. I really don't.
And they've only just started really seeing, that stage where, like you put it there, like they've only just started seeing the benefits of the money, coming that way, and, coming in kind of the way they anticipated when it first was built, the stadium. And of course they had that delay. And so, like you kind of said, maybe why now, why wait now to sell after you've kind of just started seeing maybe the benefits of all the revenue streams and things like that. And we only know, unless another sort of, catastrophic event happen, like, it could get even better, the next season and then the season after. But Dave, I mean, do you kind of agree with this, that maybe they're more interested in kind of minority investment than really the full buyout? Or maybe no investment at all, perhaps just not really interested at all in selling?
No, look, the way I look at it, I think someone like Daniel Levy would probably want to stay on at the club. And I think that's what we've seen. I think Joe Lewis, might look to sell. I think if you look, he's getting on in age. I'm not sure he wants the headaches that's coming with the club right now, with the protests, the constant turnover of managers. They've made a mess of it since the Champions League final. Youth Academy is not good. The scouting department is in disarray. Kane and Son are coming to the end of their cycle along with Lloris. He's going to have to replace them soon, which if they don't get right, it's going to add even more headaches. So for me, I think there's a lot of headaches that are coming with it. I think Joe Lewis might want to be looking to maybe sell up, or at least find someone that wants to take a minority interest with a view of taking it off his hands. But when you look at the interviews that we've seen from Daniel Levy, the interviews on the Spurs play, his every fiber is in that stadium, in every brick of the stadium. Remember, he told us that he's the way all the revenue streams that he's brought to Tottenham, that's been his vision. They're building the stadium, building the training complex. There's a lot more still to do with all the planning applications and stuff that they have. So I think Daniel Levy will definitely want to stay on and see it through. Why wouldn't he? I mean, where else is going to get a job that's going to pay him that much? But I do think that maybe someone like Joe Lewis, I think maybe he could be looking to cash out.
Interesting. So
yeah, it's interesting what you say on Joe Lewis, though, because Joe Lewis, from what I'm hearing, wants to give it to his daughter, wants to transfer the ownership over to his daughter. So if that's the case, that's even more of a reason why they wouldn't sell.
But in the case that it were handed over to the daughter, though, Ben, I've heard some. Can you confirm this? Maybe some background rumors that maybe she's not the biggest fan of Daniel Levy, though.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. Obviously, we don't know anything for sure until something actually happens or actually something's said. But the rumors are that she isn't the biggest fan of Daniel Levy and she might look to replace him. But it's going to be hard to replace him because he's got stakes there, right? So it's not as simple as just sacking him and firing someone when they've got a stake in the business.
And this has been his sort of 20-year plus project as well, Daniel Levy. So like you said, he has a lot of stakes, a lot of footholds in the club, a lot of attachment to it, just with how, he's tried to take, I guess, with his journey, as well, also raising it, in terms of valuations and whatnot. Just another quick question I have for you, Ben, though, is just the fact that if there were to be a full buyout and if there were to be an interested party in that full sort of takeover, do you feel like the interesting thing is that there are plenty of other clubs like, a potential buyer could buy for a lot cheaper, right? But what makes Spurs so expensive is all those extra revenue streams from the new stadium to the NFL, the big new training complex, all those things I think sort of inflate the price. So it kind of feels like whoever is interested in buying Spurs, they must know that there are cheaper clubs about that they could go for. So it feels like the reason maybe they would be interested in Spurs is because of those sort of revenue streams and those real estate kind of, deals.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think when you look around the Premier League about clubs that are up for sale, you've got the likes of Man United, but that looks like it's already going through. You've got Liverpool, even though FSG said, I think yesterday it was that they're not up for sale anymore. You're looking at all these big clubs. And when you're looking at Spurs, London-based, infrastructure's all there with the stadium and the training ground and everything. So when you're looking at it, Tottenham is a club that's ready to explode. They just need things to be done in the right way. And I think it's a very attractive proposition, even though it's probably one of the most expensive propositions. You're looking at return on investment and you're looking at, wow, you're going to make a killing here.
And I was kind of thinking as well, right, that maybe what Spurs, it's kind of two-way street with what Spurs have to offer, because it feels like if you were to buy Spurs, like you kind of have to be interested in all that NFL stuff, the Beyonce concerts, all that sort of thing. Like you need to be interested in that. I don't think you could be like the Newcastle owners and just kind of take over a team and just sort of kind of just be interested in sort of kind of making a great footballing side. Like you clearly would need to be having some sort of interest in all the other stuff as well. And then on top of that, it does seem like maybe there is the benefit that Spurs or ENIC, I guess, built the stadium in advance. You don't have to worry about, building a stadium like Todd Bowley does over at Chelsea, right? Yeah. He still has to think about that problem, or he doesn't have to think about building a new training complex or anything like that either. So it is sort of like a very expensive package, but it is maybe a package that you don't have to really mess with or anything as much once you have it, I guess.
The problem I've got with the way ENIC have set up this club now, like, everything's there to make money, right? All the building, the infrastructure, plans to redevelop the whole of Tottenham, the Northumberland development project and all that kind of stuff. I'm worried that the next people that come in after ENIC, if we do get someone to come in after ENIC, they're going to be the same, if not worse, and put even less into the football club and just use it as a cash cow and get all the revenue streams around and still make money and not care about the football side whatsoever. It's so easy for that to happen. And that's what I'm worried about. As much as I've had my problems with ENIC and Levy in the past, I can see that being a big problem moving forward.
What do you think of that, Dave?
Yeah, I said that yesterday. I was saying, that we can't just jump at the very first offer that comes in. We've got to make sure that first and foremost, they want to be competitive on the football pitch because, with the planning permissions that come with the stadium, it's very easy set up for someone to come in here, still try and make the club self-sustainable, but really their main focus is getting their hands on the planning permission, building up Tottenham, which means if they put a hotel, cinema and stuff like that there, that income then is coming in and it's back into their pocket. So it's even more, it's extra revenue streams for these guys. And, we like, this is what I was saying, yesterday, that we have to make sure it's right for Tottenham. You can't just jump on the first offer because you have so many frustrations with them. We've got to be careful, about this going forward. And if it is someone that, ultimately has them plans, we've got to try and stop it somehow. We've got to come together because I would rather, I know it's going to be controversial, but if the next guy is going to come in and do the same things, I'd rather it be in the hands of someone like Levy, who's a football fan, than someone that isn't, but trying to do the same thing, if you get what I mean. Well, supposedly. But, would you not, Ben? Would you not rather, like, if someone's going to come in and do the exact same thing, would you not rather it be in the hands of a supposed Tottenham fan than someone that has no interest in the club whatsoever.
I mean, look, I've been part of protests against ENIC. I've been very vocal of my feelings towards ENIC, but you know what? I kind of agree with you. And when you're looking at prospective buyers of this football club, if they're going to use it as a cash cow, and if they're not going to invest in the football, and if they're going to literally just care about all the infrastructure around it and not actually what's going on the pitch, then I don't want them at all, and I prefer to stay where we are.
For me, the risk, that's where it lies, is that we aren't like a Newcastle where it's just kind of like you're just there to buy the club and just trying to bring them back to, maybe better days and, try to just sort of revitalize, the feeling and the love for the club again. Really, that's really all it seemed like, the owners really care about, really, is not as much about, try to find these extra ways of, making revenue or, operating within their means. Because that's the other thing, too, is that's what makes also Spurs, I think, an attractive object or an attractive proposition, is because you don't have to necessarily put a bunch of money into the club. There is that sort of extra revenue stream that ENIC and Levy have boasted for years and have said, this is what makes us unique, is that we can use this, different way to operate within our means. We don't have to, dip into the pockets every single year type of, method. And it's just, that's what's interesting, is that whoever wants to buy that, you would think, would probably think a similar way about, how they want to invest in the club, as, kind of don't invest too much, spend within your means type of thing. And that's what also maybe slightly worries me. I think
I just want to take
let's just get a state to take over this club, and let's put, you know what I mean? Just bring in Qatar or someone.
Get the wheel out and spin it.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Let's just sell our souls and win something.
Look, it's something we just have to, wait and see if an official bid comes in first. If the bid comes in and being competitive is at the front of their list, then, let's put the pressure on for it to happen. I just want to take this comment, though, from Shaquille Amik just quickly. Says, Levy and ENIC need to leave. How we make assumptions that new owners are not going to care about football. Why are you guys saying that? First of all, I'm not making an assumption whatsoever. I'm just saying that there is a possibility that they could happen. If you look at the way the club is set up with multiple revenue streams that aren't solely dependent on football, because what you're dependent on if you're taking over a club without the extra revenue streams, the season tickets, TV revenue, prize money and stuff like that, right? Transfer fees and stuff. But at Tottenham, we've got Spurs play, we've got a platform set up there, you've got the Skywalk, you've got the concerts, you've got the NFL, the boxing, the rugby. There's so many additional revenue streams that come with Tottenham Hotspur that and I'm just putting it out there, that we just can't have a guy that wants to come in and do the same. And with the way it's set up, there's a possibility that can happen. And I'm not making any assumptions. I'm just saying, and look, if someone came in with the money and they want to take this club forward, no problem, get rid of them, sell it up. That's where I'm at with it. I'm sick and tired and frustrated with the inconsistencies and stuff over the last few years. If Levy and ENIC have took it as far as they can, sell it. Give it to someone that can take it forward. But I'm just letting you know that there is a possibility with the way the club is set up that something like that could happen. That's all.
I also know for a fact, too, like this might be a bit of a stretch, but just to support you here, Dave, on this argument, is that this might not be much as the case in the Premier League, but you do look at, owners that take over League One clubs, League Two clubs, Championship clubs, and often it does go maybe the other way, where actually, in fact, they end up in a worse position after the owner has taken them over quite quickly, because there are a lot of owners that take over a club. You don't really exactly know where the money is coming from. It can be a bit suspect, right, where the sources of funds are coming from. And also, not always do the owners really promise you full-heartedly that they're going to be spending and trying to get you up there. They might actually be trying to run it where they're maybe trying to make a bit of a profit and they're trying to spend within their means. And sometimes that can actually end up where your club slips and falls. And when you're in like the Championship, League One, that ends up being a lot more costly. So I think that's where also
look at Everton. Look at Everton, right? Ken Wright got Moshiri
Ken
Wright got in Moshiri to invest a lot into this football club. He's the main stakeholder now. I'm not sure if it's him or Ken Wright, but he's run that club into the ground, completely into the ground. They should never be where they are right now.
It's not even being devil's advocate, I think, for Levy or anything. It's just bringing that context of not every other owner out there is just going to be, a walk in the park either, is going to be, some saint, coming in.
Yeah.
The thing is,
Totally
look,
agree.
you know, on the flip side, yes, we could get someone like Man City owners, you know, if we're lucky enough, you know, where the football is their primary concern. They want to be successful. We could end up getting an owner like that, and I'm just like that's what we all want is someone that does want to take the club to do that. That's what we do want ultimately. But like I said, you know, it could very easily go the other way, and because of the additional revenue streams, we have to be aware of that. I feel personally. Dark Sun G with a super chat says, I feel really confident playing the Blues this week for once because they can't find the right starting 11 in order to score or win, especially with Potter. Look, Dark Sun G, I'm as optimistic as anybody out there. I'm as deluded. In fact, I'd say the most deluded. That's one title I could definitely take. And I'm proud of that.
Number one.
Number one Irish fan, number one deluded fan. Love it. But what I will say, Dark Sun G, is look, Chelsea's a bit different, man. It's like it's the one game I can't really go into too cocky because no matter how bad they are, they always get up for Tottenham Hotspur. Always.
Yeah.
Look, we should be beating them on paper with the form they're in. You know, we should be beating them. It's one of them games you just can't take for granted, my man. Ben, where are you at with it?
Look, at the end of the day, right, they're in a complete disarray. They've spent crazy amounts of money, way too much to spend in one window, especially a January window when you're halfway through a season and like you're trying to get into the top four. I mean, Potter's won what, 17? What's he won? 2 games in his last 17 or something, which is absolutely nuts. But look who's coming. It's Dr. Tottenham up next. And I am worried about this game. But at the end of the day, like, if we don't beat them this weekend, when the hell are we ever going to beat them? Seriously. Like, this is the perfect time to play Chelsea now. Their fans are in disarray. They can't seem to score a goal for love nor money. They can't seem to win a game for love nor money. So this is the perfect time to play them. So bring it on, is what I say. It's probably the most positive I've been in a while facing Chelsea. But at the end of the day, that doesn't matter, does it? Because it's Tottenham talking, Tottenham against Chelsea. And you know, on the day, they usually do let us down. But hopefully this weekend, we can put them in their place once and for all.
It's just always so much unlucky, you know, so much. Yeah, we just never are lucky in these fixtures. It feels like Dark Sun G. Maybe even the most recent one was the first time that we actually saw a little bit of luck, you know, when we went over to their place last time out. But what I would say is, yeah, Graham Potter, he doesn't seem to know his best 11. He's picking a different 11 every week. Also, as well, he's making a lot of excuses at the moment. I just wish, though, Dark Sun G, that maybe they just had drawn against Southampton. They didn't lose 1-0, because now I just feel like the pressure's on them like even more. There's a lot of attention probably going to be put on this game. And maybe had they won 1-0 or like draw, you know, maybe drawn like 1-1, I feel like there'd be slightly less attention maybe on Potter, you know, this weekend, which would have helped us. But
I don't know. I'm looking at the players like coming out the tunnel and all that kind of stuff, the Chelsea players, and they're all hunched over. Body language is absolutely terrible. I don't think they want to play under Potter. I really don't. And I was hearing
because he has a doctorate
well.
on body language.
He does, doesn't he? He does. I mean, he's got a doctorate in everything, that Graham Potter. And I thought he was going to do really well there. But at the moment, I'm feeling like they're planning for life without him already, to be honest. And I'm sure we'll get into that in a little bit. But like, the body language seems terrible. When I first heard that Potter was taking the job, I think someone on Talk Sport that's quite close to the Chelsea squad was saying that all the squad was saying, how can you sack Tuchel for Potter? It's absolutely crazy talk. Yeah. And I just feel like we're not going to see Chelsea perform until Potter leaves.
Look, Potter's doing exactly what I had in plan for him. Go in there, said it was never going to work out at Chelsea for him. He'll never get the respect of players. If you're a manager that, let's be honest, they plucked them from Sweden, came in, done a bit of a decent job at Swansea, got a bit of a rapid rise. But when you're bringing a guy with 0 trophies into a dressing room off the back of winning a Champions League with trophies, they're not going to respect the guy. They're not going to, you know, he's coming in to change the system. His system requires you to be more fitter, requires you to be, you know, more energetic up and down and stuff like that. And, you know, if a player manager like him walks in, I mean, who are you? You know, you're telling me I have to do more, even though I won trophies you haven't. What have you won? Jog on. Yeah. And it's the truth. It happens in dressing rooms. You know what I mean? So, look, long may they keep Potter, in my opinion. I mean, he's doing exactly what I wanted him to do.
Exactly right, Davo. And anybody else who wants to put their thoughts maybe on the certain Graham Potter and maybe Pochettino, keep throwing them in the chat here. And also as well, feel free to throw it in as a super chat. It's a great way to support the channel. And speaking of Chelsea, I thought maybe we just skip ahead here and then actually go back to that home truth section. Pochettino has rejected Chelsea, and that's according to 90 Minute, I think, magazine. And they've said Mauricio Pochettino has turned down an initial approach to replace Graham Potter at Chelsea's. Sources have told 90 Minutes that, and they have understood that some within Chelsea's hierarchy have huge concerns about the club's form and do not share the same belief as Mr. Todd Bowley that Graham Potter can turn this club around. So there's a bit of divide now within the Chelsea hierarchy. You know, Todd Bowley, his man, Graham Potter, is starting to maybe cause some doubt, you would say, Ben, within Chelsea. Do you feel like they could sack Potter this weekend? It's probably not, El Sacchico for us, but could it be, maybe an El Sacchio situation for Graham Potter? Is his job on the line this weekend?
I think I personally believe they've already made the decision. I think they've already made the decision to move on from Potter. Whoa. But I don't think they're actually going to sack him until they've got a replacement lined up. So whether that be next week, in a couple of weeks, end of the season, I don't know when it may be, but Potter won't be there next season, I don't think. And I was of the belief maybe last month that they're going to stick with him for the long term, because that were the noises coming out from Bowley and all that kind of stuff. But you can't ignore this form. 2 wins in the last 17 games.
Still.
Yeah. You can't ignore it. 2 wins in the last 17 games. You just can't ignore it, in my opinion. And unless it dramatically gets better, I don't even think that matters anymore. I think he's a dead man walking.
It's an interesting one. They already are looking for life without him, it sounds like, Dave. Do you feel like Graham Potter, is his job on the line this weekend? Because I almost felt like he could have been sacked earlier. He could have been sacked sooner. So could it maybe all lead up to a London derby where maybe that's his final moment? That's his final call.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. We beat them this weekend. Potter will be out of a job. Went to plan, ruined Chelsea's season for us in a time where we needed one of the big six to be absolutely ruined. I think, look, when you look at the Chelsea fan base at the minute, none of them are happy. I mean, Jack, me and you sat there watching videos of them turning into AFTV earlier on, challenging each other to fights outside the stadium and everything, going down to the local curry house. I'll meet you outside there for a fight. It's kicking off on Chelsea channels, and there's only so long that's going to be allowed to continue. They were booed off against Southampton as well, fans making their voices heard. Look, they're in big trouble. I think you lose to Tottenham, which they haven't done in quite some time. You've got to sack the guy. You've just got to.
And then it has led us to this situation with Pochettino.
Saka go around 2.
Round 2 again. But then it's led us to this situation where Pochettino supposedly has been approached by Chelsea, and he has rejected maybe their initial proposal, Ben. So what do you think? Does that mean Pochettino's rejecting Chelsea out of loyalty for Spurs?
Poch is waiting for the call. He's waiting for the call. And I wouldn't be surprised. I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel Levy has already been speaking to him saying, look, there's going to be a vacancy here this summer. If you want it, it's yours. Poch has made no secret about it that he wants to come back. He's obviously holds Tottenham very close to his heart. He's got unfinished business here and all that kind of stuff. I, for one, would love to see him back. I would prefer that Conte would stay, but I would love to see him back if Conte was to leave. And in terms of the Chelsea job, I don't think he would go there anyway. I mean, he's got such close ties with Spurs. He's always talking about his love for Spurs. And when he was at Spurs, he considered Chelsea as the number 1 rival for Spurs. So I just can't see him going there. But I think he's holding out for the Spurs job anyway.
He also had loyalty when he was the Espanyol manager, right? He said he would never become Barcelona manager. So it seems like he's that type of guy, right? Where he does have a bit of more club loyalty. So Dave, I mean, for you, is Pochettino rejecting Chelsea and just waiting, for that Spurs job to come his way?
Look, I think if
is he inevitably the next manager for Spurs?
Look, me personally, I'd rather continue to keep building it under Antonio Conte. You can't keep going through this cycle of building things so far, bringing in a new manager, ripping it down and going again. You're going into an era there where your squad then is starting to resemble 5 different regimes, 5 different managers. And, what we've seen over the last few years, we've seen that on the pitch, reflected on the pitch where, some players are good at one thing, but not necessarily what the manager needs, but he's to play them. And then, it's vice versa under every single manager we seem to have over the last few years. But when you look at it, there hasn't been a contract signed for whatever reason. Conte doesn't want to come out and speak on his future. We know that Poch and Daniel Levy are very close friends because they used to go on holiday together. They had a thing out somewhere in Switzerland where they used to go, if I remember correctly, or Austria. And I believe him and his staff were back in Tottenham for a reunion dinner not so long ago in London. So, I mean, when you look at it, it does seem like he's sort of hanging around, or maybe he's being told, look, Tottenham Conte are no longer a thing after the season ends and that he's coming in here. It does look like he's waiting around on the Tottenham job, if you want me to be brutally honest.
He's enjoying 18 holes of golf. It feels like with Mickey Hazard every week. He's taking Snapchat photos with his missus, saying on a nice little walk in North London. I don't know, Ben. It feels like he's been flirting. It's almost like Mudryk with Arsenal, Pochettino. He's just kind of flirting with us a little bit here. Is he inevitably the next one to be? Is he inevitably the next Spurs manager?
Absolutely. I think if Conte leaves this summer, then 100% Poch will be our manager next summer, in my opinion. I think that if Conte does sign the contract, then obviously everything is thrown up in the air again. But I just can't see the Conte signing the contract with everything surrounding Conte in his personal life. 3 close friends dying, his family being in Italy, him loving being in Italy. He literally flies back like every week, every 2 weeks to be in Italy with his family, and him staying in a hotel is just not sustainable. It's just not a settled life. And it makes sense for Conte to leave. As much as it pains me to say it, as much as I want Conte to stay, as much as I believe in him, I just don't think it's a settled life. And I think it just makes sense for him to go back to Italy with his family, because he's obviously very close to his family, doesn't want to take his kids out of school in Italy. So I think everything just makes sense. And for Poch to come back here, Poch, he lives in North London still. When he was in Paris, he was flying back to North London as well to be with his family. So it's the same similar situation, just reversed. So I just think it's set in stone for Poch to come back the next season.
How many times are we going to keep going through this cycle though, Ben? Like, at some stage we have to stick there behind the manager and, stick with it for 2-3 seasons, even if it's not going well from the beginning. You've got to stick with it at this point. So when do we come to that point?
Look, I completely agree with you. And I think we were at that point a long time ago. But the fact of the matter is, if the manager doesn't want to be here, there's nothing we can do to convince him to stay. That's just facts, right? It's not. I don't think it's anything to do with footballing reasons why Conte doesn't want to be here. I think if it was down to Conte, if his family were in London and everything was settled in London, I think he would stay. And I think that when you're looking at how the squad is shaping up, I think he can see the nucleus of a good squad happening here that he can deal with. Next season, you've got Porro on the right, maybe Spence coming in as well with Emerson playing well. You've got Udogie on the left. Romero's there. You just need to sign 2 centre-backs and a goalkeeper. The rest of the team, Conte can work wonders with. The midfield is all right. Højbjerg, Bentancur, Bissouma, Kulusevski on the right, Kane and Son up top. The squad is shaping up nicely for Conte. So I don't see him leaving for footballing reasons. I think it's mainly down to these personal issues that have been going on in his life. So if that's the case, there's nothing anyone can do to make him stay. So I think at this point, it's our arms are tied behind our backs with this situation. And I get what you're saying, that we want to stick with the manager. We want to give him a long-term project. But I think I don't think that's the case here. I don't think Levy wants to get rid of Conte. I just think Conte needs to go.
A lot of fans, though, Ben, I know since you go to the majority of the matches, a lot of fans as well, though, have grown maybe a bit tired of kind of how the inconsistency of the team this season. They've also said maybe the style of play is not how they usually associate Spurs, right? We've kind of gone for managers with a proven resume, managers who have proven to be successful with their style of play, with their methods. But it feels like Spurs fans have also, I don't know how you put it right, have grown maybe a bit, impatient now, or they kind of just have maybe tossed up that sort of, notion of going after the winning managers. They they seem to want, you know, the style of play that Pochettino had back. Do you think that's right?
I think that when you ask Spurs fans, you know, you ask every 100 Spurs fan, 99 of them will say they want, you know, free-flowing football, high-pressing football, high-intensity football. But I think Conte's methods are winning methods. And you're looking at the squad now. We've got Eric Dyer, Ben Davis, Davinson Sanchez, Japhet Tanganga, you know, all these players that are not performing. Ivan Perisic, in my opinion, Ryan Sessegnon. There's so many players here that don't let Conte do the football that he wants to play. And I don't believe for 1 second that Conte wants to play this way, where it's just so one-dimensional, so predictable. I genuinely believe if we had a good defense behind what we're trying to do, we would press much higher up the pitch, squeeze the pitch a lot better, get that attacking creativity from the wing-backs. It will look so much more exciting than it does now. Yes, you'll have the games against the big teams where, you know, we'll sit deep and we'll make the areas really compact and hard to beat. But I think for the most part, you'll see really good football. It might be not proper high intensity like the Poch press, but you've seen at times last season, you've seen at times even this season where we've played some good football. And I think the reason why we're so defensive is because he's trying to make up for the terrible defenders that we have 100%. In this team.
100%. You can't send this team to go and press high up the field, because when you do that, the forward line have to go press up, the wing backs have to press up, your two centre midfielders have to press up, and then you're exposed with your three centre backs. And we've seen, you know, they're not good enough on a consistent basis to do that. You know, and this, even building up from the back, the consistency of the ball coming out from the back, that will be completely different if you've got better defenders in here. And this is why I don't believe Pochettino's the answer, if you want me to be brutally honest. It's like, I understand the reasons behind wanting Poch back. There's, you know, he will look to play a more progressive game. You know, he when you look at it, he's probably more of a long-term build manager than maybe what someone like Antonio Conte's history would suggest. There's sort of the benefits. Do you look at the amount of youngsters that we've signed over the last couple of years? That would probably benefit with Poch as well, more than someone like Conte. There are the reasons why people want Poch, but the reality is he's still going to suffer the same problems as Antonio Conte, as Jose Mourinho, as Nuno have with that backline. Some of these guys are never, ever going to change whatsoever. And my point is that we've gone so far now under Antonio Conte in terms of building a team to his system. It'd be such a shame to pull the plug on it now when you really sort of just need a new number one, a couple of centre-backs, and maybe a midfielder with a complete passing range about him. You know, but if you've to change and go to Pochettino, you don't know how Emerson and Porro are going to do at right backs. You don't know how Perisic and Edozie are going to play at left back. You're still left short in central defence. Then you need to go in and spend money on a cam, bring in a world-class cam. You know, completely. I'm not sure how many of the players we have transitioning to a Poch system. And that's why I don't believe Poch is the answer. Plus, it's never as good the second time around. Never. Yeah. There's going to be a lot more pressure, a lot more expectation on Poch. If things aren't going right, I think fans will get fed up with it very, very quickly. I don't think they'll show Pochettino as much time the second time round. And at the end of the day, you know, I believe where we're at now, we're probably not too far away from where Arsenal were at with Mikel Arteta, where all their fans wanted that guy gone last season. Couldn't tolerate him, this, that, and the other. But the board said, no, we can't keep going through managers. We need to get some of them bums out the squad. That's what they've done. They brought in players that suit Arteta and what he's looking for going forward. And look at the benefits that they've had this season. Now, don't get me wrong, I do think they've benefited that big six teams have collapsed. But look at the benefits of it this season that they've had. We're not too far away from that. And that's why I'd rather continue to do under someone like Conte. Because when we also had Pochettino, yeah, he was challenging, but when we got to them big games, he just couldn't handle it, couldn't handle the expectations, too emotional going into them, stuff like that. I don't think he ever truly believed that he was going to win going into them games. Whereas someone like Antonio Conte, when you get into them games, he will get you over the line.
Spot on. And Pochettino didn't exactly even prove that he could fix that with that PSG or, you know, his time after. Like, it's still kind of maybe a problem for him. I think people, if I were to maybe explain maybe where some people who might be skeptical of really any manager, that comes in after Conte. It does seem like, I feel like times have really changed since the days that Pochettino was here. I feel like the league has changed significantly. There's even more money in the Premier. The club has changed. That's a good point as well. I mean, you definitely start there. But also surrounding us, right? It feels like every other Premier League team has strengthened significantly. They're also spending a whole lot more. Their overall squads are better. I think the overall capacity of most managers in the league is a lot higher now. It seems like there's just better managers, better quality, just all about in the Premier League at this moment than there was when Pochettino was there. So he would have to come to terms with that it's not going to be as easy as it was then for him. Not saying it was easy, but it definitely will be harder now. And also, like a lot of people have brought up, the players that we do have in the defense, being Dyer, Davies, Sanchez, Tanganga, etc., have all proven that they cannot play a progressive, on the front foot, attractive style of play. They're not technically capable of it. Like on the ball, they're not technically capable of it, but they're not nearly good enough defenders to be able to handle situations when they are getting counterattacked, when they are, maybe backpedaling and, one-on-one with a player like Saint Maximin and, guys like that. They're just not those type of players to be able to do that. They need protection from the midfield. They need protection from their fullbacks. We just don't have the players yet to be able to switch back to some sort of progressive, attractive style. We will get punished for it. Even though it will be fun to watch, we'll still get punished for it, I think. And that's also, I think, where some people come from. If we were to switch to any manager, other than Conte, that's, maybe a bit more on the progressive side, and that could be punished.
But I think the case remains for Conte as well. Like, even if Conte was to stay, we need to get rid of these players. So regardless of who the manager is, these players need to be replaced. That's just the facts of the matter. And I think that when you look at the players that Paratici has brought in since he's come here, I think they would all do well under Pochettino. I can't see them not doing well. I think Pochettino would love Romero. Pochettino would love Porro and Udogie. Poch would love Bissouma. I think Bissouma would do wonders under Pochettino in that midfield. I really do. Even players like Brian Hill and Pape Matar, I think Pochettino, they would fit straight into a Pochettino team. So I think that when you're looking at the players that we're signing, I don't think they're specifically for a Conte system. And I think they can be transferred very easily to a Poch system.
I'm with you there. Danny threw in a super chat. Danny Kiriakou, member for 23 months. Big yourself up, Danny.
You're the problem, Danny.
23 months is 32 years. Fucking hell. Big up, Kiriakou.
Big up, lads. He says, I agree with Ben. I pray Dr. Tottenham don't turn up this weekend. N'Golo Conte could be fit. Always fit for Spurs, LOL. Ben, question, who is the problem?
You're the problem.
ITK Danny Kirianou. What have you made of fact? He's being hired by Fabrizio Romano. He's being signed. Here we go.
Danny Kirimano, let's go.
Danny Kirimano, exactly right. Pick yourself up, Danny. And honestly, Dr. Tottenham, I mean, with N'Golo Conte coming back, that does smell of a bit of Dr. Tottenham. It also just smells of the kind of unlucky, it's always unlucky against Chelsea, it feels like. N'Golo Conte rises from the dead, of course, for this game. I mean, who would have thunk? Pick yourself up, Danny. Good man.
Big up, Danny, my man. Big yourself up. And by the way, I just want to put it out there as well that Pochettino waiting for Tottenham is not the headline. We're just putting, the fact that he's turned down Chelsea, just putting the question out there, is it sort of inevitable that the next guy, coming to Tottenham? Look, maybe some will find the conversation a bit disrespectful. Me personally, I don't like having the conversation, but at the end of the day, it's probably a conversation that probably needs to be had. Wayne Carter says here, hey guys, if Pochettino comes back, do you think that 250 million loanees will come back like having new players maybe? Winks will definitely come back. Pochettino was a huge fan of the Al Harry. That will drive me absolutely fucking insane. Don't think
David, you've seen the bits that Winksy's doing in Italy?
Please,
you've seen the bits that Winksy's doing in Italy?
One evening, it was like, 12 o'clock? It was like 12 o'clock at night. I was about to, go through the Pamela Anderson documentary was coming out. It was bringing back all these brilliant memories as a kid, right? You know what I'm talking about, guys. But, right, then I get a message off Ben, look at this. And then it's like Harry Winks doing sideways passes with, opera music. And I'm like, please, this is the problem.
Harry Winks masterclass against Benevento.
It took me right out of the mood I was in.
He got man the match against Inter Milan last week.
Yeah, and it's probably the only one he'll get out in Italy as well, and, he'd probably live off that, and then, you know, he'll be shit for the rest, and he'll start saying Sampdoria fans didn't respect him, club didn't want him, didn't feel wanted. I mean, get a wife if you want to feel wanted, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? It's a joke.
Did you hear what he said, Dave? Did you hear what he said?
What?
He was talking about how his time in Italy has really made him a better player already, and made him learn about the Conte system, and he understands the Conte system so much more now.
I'm left a little speechless after that.
Look, the guy is not good enough for the Premier League. Italy suits him. It's slow. It's, you know, they don't press him as much. He can spend 20 minutes on the ball and have a bowl of cornflakes in between if he wants. You know, he's loads of time out there. But look, you know, Wayne, I believe Winks will probably get a second chance, if you want me to be brutally honest. I don't think Endorm Ladars will. I think, you know, he couldn't get fit under Pochettino. I don't think Poch will forgive that. Reguilon, I think there's definitely a chance he will come back in under Pochettino, as we got Giovanni Lo Celso, Argentinian connection, maybe. But look, I don't want any of them back, if you want me to be brutally honest. The only one I would take back is Reguilon, and then fuck out Session, but it kind of screws up the homegrown quota, so we need to get English players in here. But he's the only one I'd probably look to give a chance. Look, Gill and Spence, of course, I'm not putting them in the category as Winks and Endorm Lo Celso, because for me, I think they're being loaned out to aid their development. I think they'll also be given a chance. But if you're talking about the main guys, potentially Winks and Lo Celso, probably, maybe Reguilon.
Do you not think with Ndombele, though, like Poch, he was Poch's guy? I mean, Poch wanted to sign him as his like marquee signing after winning the World Cup, after getting to the final of the Champions League. So do you not think he might get another crack of the whip here?
Question is if Ndombele really wants to play, because he seems to hate Spurs. That was kind of the issue, right? Is that he didn't.
But he liked Pochettino, though, didn't he?
Maybe
I get it, but I think him trudging off the pitch against Morecambe when we're losing, I don't think the fans will take him back. I'm not sure the hierarchy of the club will accept or tolerate him coming back. And at the end of the day, I'll never take him back. You know, he shat on the jersey. We were going through a bad time. Morecambe would be an absolute capitulation, and he didn't do anything about it. And then he's trudging off. That was more like a fuck you to the fans. You know, It's kind of like a weak situation. You don't appreciate me, so I'm just going to trudge off the pitch. I mean, grow up, man. We pay you $200K a week. You know, you're playing bad, that's on you. So for me, I don't want him to be given a second chance whatsoever. I don't think he'd be allowed a second chance.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm with you guys there. It feels like, you know, the majority of the players, honestly, are just out there because we really couldn't find much of a home for them, and we really struggled to offload them in the first place. We also struggle, I think, Wayne, with being able to just take a hit on a player. Like, we want to try to recoup as much money out of it as possible, but it's just a sort of policy that I think has come to bite us in the ass a little bit, because you just keep kind of pushing the problem down the road a little bit, kicking the can down the road, and you're going to eventually find yourself with 250 million pounds players out on loan, and that turns into a real messy situation. And like we brought up here, probably maybe only two of like out of all of those guys, maybe like two you would say could have a future, like still with Spurs, like still have a chance maybe, you know, down the road. So that's a major issue. It's not like it's like at Chelsea or something back in the day when they had like 40 players out on loan, but they were all under like 23. It's, you know, it's very different in this case, and it's
quick shout out to Anthony tuning in all the way from Kenya. Says he loves both of our channels shows and he watches them daily. Big yourself up, but I really appreciate that, my man.
Well, everybody, we're going to keep pushing through here kind of to some of the later questions of this evening. Everybody keep smashing that like button. I'm going to check up and see how you guys are doing on that one as well. Keep getting your comments in here. And like I said before, if you want to support the channel, feel free to throw it in as a super chat. We're going to talk about Longley here, everybody. The Outlad's in here. He says too many takeaways in London for Ndombele, lads. Yeah, exactly. Maybe just keep him.
That's why the Outlad had to move me out when I was younger. You know, you could see that I was going to every chip shop. He's like, fuck that, better get the young lad out of here. So, but yeah, I agree. You know, way too much choice for him. Uber Eats is like, you know, if someone giving the guy the lottery numbers, can't have that, the Outlad. Big yourself up, my man. Legend.
Big up to the old lad.
The legend who gave birth to a legend. How about that? What a man.
The man who taught him the order.
Is he Ireland's real number one Spurs fan then?
I'll be honest, I don't want to disrespect the man on Pancake Tuesday. It's a holy day over here. But I like to think I'm Tottenham's number one fan. He can be 1.5. I'll be generous. He can be 1.
Gets it from somewhere. Spanish publication, everybody, is El Nacional is talking about a Clement Longley permanent deal with Tottenham Hotspur. On Monday, the Blaugrana were again warned by La Liga president Javier Tebas that they must reduce their wage bill by at least 200 million euros ahead of next season. With such things in mind, El Nacional claims that Alemany, the club president, could put up 11 current first-team stars on the chopping block. 4 of them are outcasts, currently playing their football elsewhere on loan. Serginho Dest, Clement Longley, Samuel Umtiti, and Alex Collado have all failed to impress Xavi. Would you take Longley on, a permanent deal, Ben? And have you been impressed with him this season?
No, not for me. I think that he's done okay. He's just average for me, absolutely average. And he goes into the Davis, Dyer, and Sessegnon and that kind of camp. I mean, look, he's got a good delivery on him. But that's about it, in my opinion. I think he's way too passive, way too weak, gets beaten way too easily. And I mean, look, I'm all right with him playing for us this season because we don't really have that much else. But I really don't want to see him sign here permanently. I think there's so many better defenders out there that we can get. I'd prefer to get someone like aggressive, like Hincapié, Indika, these kind of defenders. Longley is not that guy for me. He's just way too passive, in my opinion.
Do you feel like, though, he's been one of the best defenders in the squad this season consistently? Has he been one of the better defenders this season?
I don't know. I mean,
yes.
you're talking about picking someone out of the complete shit that's been our defense this season. Like they've all been crap.
Has he emerged a little less stinky than the others then?
Yes.
I think he has.
Not really in my opinion. I think when push comes to shove in the big games, look how he got absolutely destroyed in that Arsenal game. I mean, he gets destroyed way too many times. I think who was it against that he got destroyed? Was it Leicester? I can't remember who it was.
I mentioned Almiron. I remember Almiron had a moment.
That's it, Newcastle. Yeah, that's it, Newcastle.
But Hugo then made it, a French, real, pastry with his save afterwards. A lack of a save, should I say, afterwards. So it turned into a real howler. Look,
Longley's been average, man. He hasn't been great. I mean, even if you're talking about him being our best defender, he could still be average. Like he's not a player who I'd like to sign up for the long term. He's not a player that tells me our defense is going in the right way. I want someone that's going to be super aggressive on the pitch. A la Christian Romero.
He hasn't even stuck out enough for you. Like he hasn't even made, you would say, enough of a difference between himself and the others, is your point, really. Like he might be better, but he's not all that much better, is really your point.
Exactly. And I think I know Dave's going to strongly disagree with me here, but I think that the difference between him and Davis are really not that much.
Whoa, you lead him on to my next question here. And I just want to check in, everybody. Only 75 likes in here, 300 in the house, 300 plus. Please, let's at least get up to 100 likes, everybody. But Dave, I mean, he just led me on to my next question. Has Longley been better than Davies or Dyer this season? I would say outstandingly so.
Yeah, I think miles better. Look, people go on like Ben Davies hasn't made mistakes this season. He has. He's not good enough on the football either. Langley is better on the football. Langley can cross a ball. Langley can pass a ball. He's got a better passing range. But I also think, I'm not going to sit here and say Langley hasn't made mistakes this season. He has. But he's better than Davies. And even if he's only slightly better than Davies, it's still an improvement. And I'd rather have someone like Langley here and a fresh look to the squad rather than persist with averageness. That is, like Davies has had 8 years to impress at Tottenham Hotspur. 8 years. And I'm not just at the point, I'm just sick of seeing them names on the team sheet. I want them gone. I want fresh faces in here, fresh mentalities, fresh ideas. I just want all of that. Ben Davies, look, he had a good game the other day, but then when he came off the bench against Milan, every ball he kicked, he fucking gave it away. The game against Leicester, he went to play a pass into no man's land and we got punished for it. Against Chelsea, earlier on in the season in the 2-2, he was so far off it defensively, it was unbelievable. The guy has consistently been average for Tottenham. And I'll put a question back to you, Ben. Why at Tottenham, and I see this a lot, right? And I'm going to use an Emerson as an example, and I'm going to come back to Clement Longley, but right? People's patience with Emerson was so thin compared to like a Doherty, who they put up with for for I don't know how many years, kept making excuses for when, the writing was on the wall. All the guy does is pass the ball inside. At least Emerson tries to do the right thing. But, we're here with Langley. The guy's not even here a full season. People are like, don't want him here, this, that, and the other, but they're willing to still sort of back like a Ben Davies, who, in my opinion, has been worse than the guy this season. Why does this keep happening? Why are we giving players that are coming in here now a lot less of a chance to succeed than some of the players that have shown us they can't succeed over a number of period of years?
I think it's because we've been starved of good signings for so long now. And I think that there's a big kind of thinking in the back of people's minds, thinking like, oh, we just signed another dud, or we've just signed another dud. And I think the patience is wearing thinner and thinner and thinner with every signing that comes in. And I kind of get that, but I think that with the re-emergence of Emerson, he's kind of having like a bit of a Musa Sissoko renaissance a bit at Spurs at the moment. But look, I think that people should have more patience. They 100% should have more patience. But when you're looking at what we are right now with Antonio Conte, and there's not much long-termism thinking at Spurs, people want now success. They want success right now. And after so many failed attempts with so many different managers, just patience is going down and down and weaning and weaning and weaning. And I get it. I completely get it. But I think what you're saying about Ben Davies, I think that, no one is saying that Ben Davies should be here next season. No one's saying that he should be our starting centre-back next season. And I think the same should be said for Clement Longley.
But we're not going to sign Langley and keep Davies, surely.
I mean, I think they should both go, and we should just sign a whole fresh batch. Like, they're not good enough for what we want to do. If you want to go and win a title, Langley is not good enough.
For me, lads, I feel like with Longley, though, it's like, I see where maybe, he's not the most convincing defensively, but he's just so much better than the rest, like on the ball. He's probably,
that's it,
I think Romero's maybe just as good. Maybe you could say on par. It doesn't really matter. But where I stand on it is that if we had a bunch of defenders, let's say, that were really great on the ball, and then we had added Longley, then it would have felt like Longley was a bit surplus for needs, like just didn't really exactly, need him. But at this moment in time, he has that attribute that pretty much none of the rest of them have. And that's what maybe keeps his spot in the squad for me. And that's what also even does make me consider, signing him on a permanent, is because he has exactly what we've been lacking this whole season, which is just somebody that's more composed on the ball, won't give it away as much, also capable of maybe hitting it over the top, maybe kind of pinging it, to somebody. It just feels like Davies, Dyer, Sanchez, Tanganga, they're all too similar in the fact that they're kind of these supposed to be, I don't think they are, but they're supposed to be these more kind of average, no nonsense defenders that maybe aren't as great on the ball, but make up for it with, I don't know, just doing the simple things right. But to be honest, I could only really give that to Ben Davies as like the guy that kind of does the simple things right. I couldn't say that about Dyer. Couldn't say that about Sanchez. Wouldn't be able to say that about Tanganga. So then I'm kind of left here, Ben, where it's like, I need more players actually that are just good on the ball. And maybe I'd sacrifice, them being not as good defensively, because at this moment in time, we only have like two good players that are good on the ball. And Davies absolutely isn't one of those, I would say, sadly.
I completely get what you're saying. And I agree to a certain extent where you're saying that Longley, he's our best defender on the ball. He is. He's our best defender on the ball. I think maybe even sometimes in certain situations, he can be better than Romero on the ball. He can be. But the fact of the matter is, as a defender, he's painfully average. And if we want to move this club forward, if we want to go fight for titles and really, put a really good squad together where it's possible for us to do that, unfortunately, I don't think Longley is good enough. And when you're looking at the summer, our pot of money is not going to be endless. We're not going to be able to sign Longley and a top centre-back and this one and that one and everyone and a top goalkeeper. So in my opinion, I'd actually prefer to send Longley back instead of buying him for 20, 30 million or whatever it is.
No, we're not buying 20, 30 million. I'll stop you there because Barcelona, right? They're out of money. They need to get rid of the wages. And we have Daniel Levy and Paratici here. We're getting a good, cheap deal out of that, I would imagine. It's more they're trying to get rid of the wages.
So? I mean, how much did we spend on
because they
need
Royale
to get,
they said they need to get rid of 11 players this summer. And so it's more about getting rid of the wages. It's not as much about the transfer fee, I think, for them. It's just about getting rid of the wages. So whoever takes him. I don't even know if there's going to be a bidding war for Longley either.
I don't see why we can't sell Ben Davies, bring in Langley, and bring in another top guy in front of his position, and just have Langley there as sort of a cover guy. For me, I think, if we want to start, the more better you are on the football, the more you're going to have the ball, which means the less defending you have to do. And by that equation, for me, you sign Langley and you bring in another top guy ahead of him.
If it's true that we can get a Langley for 5 to 10 million or something like that, really, 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 really cheap, I'd be up for it if we could spend 10 million on him and 50 million on another centre back. I'd be up for that. But we've heard it all before. We've heard it before with Barcelona. We've heard it before with Inter Milan, how they're just going to get rid of players willy-nilly. It never comes to fruition, these things. So I think that if we're going to buy Langley, it will be in the ballpark of 20, 30 million.
When I see a Benji, we'll do a little wager on it. I'll say we'll get him for less than 10 million. We'll get him for less than 10 million. You hold me to that.
I don't think we're going to sign him up at all, but yeah, I'll do the wager with you anyway. But look,
hold me to it.
If it is between 20 and 30 million, I think we're best placed keeping Ben Davies on the bench and spending big money on another centre back that's going to take that spot.
Yeah, if it's anywhere near 20 million, I don't want to. For me, I'm looking at about 10 million. Nice, cheap, cheerful, get him in. Fuck Davies off and get in another top guy. But if it said 20, 30 million, no, I don't want him.
Super chat in here from Dermatron saying, big up everybody. Hit that like button. Come on, you Spurs. Big yourself up, Dermatron. Also, everybody check out his channel, THFC Till I Die. I'm seeing 311 in the house here. Just barely over 100 likes. Everybody, if you have been enjoying the conversation so far, please, please, please do smash that like button. It does go a long way in supporting the channel. Listen to the Dermatron at least. Don't even listen to me. Listen to Dermatron. KPV says, I disagree with Benji. I have been impressed with Langley. So Benji, you're getting a red card.
Who asked you, KPV? Who asked you?
He's gonna lay down the RKO on Benji for this opinion here, and he's gonna lay down a stone cold stunner, Dave.
Yeah, he was saying on the fan show there last week, Ben, that he still believes that you want KPV to greet you with an RKO. So I'd be very wary, when KPV's around the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Yeah, mate. I'm going to stay well away from KPV. I don't want to be getting stone cold stunned in the Spurs Stadium, that's for sure.
But KPV, red card for Benji, my man. Absolutely love that.
KPV, though, be aware of Dave's stone cold stunner he's going to hand you in the FIFA, though. Be ready, KPV. He's going to hand you a stone cold stunner in the FIFA. Dark Sun G says, I would rather have Langley as a rotation than Sanchez, Dyer, and Tanganga. Sure, he wouldn't be a starter. However, he will be a great starter for certain cup games. I'm with you, Dark Sun G, word for word there. I find Davies to be in a different category than Dyer, Tanganga, and Sanchez. Like, I do think it is sometimes a bit unfair to put him in the same category as them. That being said, I still find Langley to be better, and I still would rather have Langley at the club than Ben Davies, regardless of even that distinction I've made there. And I'm with you. It's not like Langley's the starter or he's going to be the guy that we hope to be the main man next season. He does seem, though, like maybe better quality backup than maybe what we've had before. And that's kind of maybe something a bit more realistic for Spurs, at least, is how I see it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. Like, look, if you had Romero, whether we're playing a 4 or a 3 at the back next season, who knows? But you had another 1 or 2 quality centre backs in there beside him. Would you feel more comfortable going into a cup game and saying, okay, Langley's playing, rather than, Dyer and Davies are your partnership with Sanchez? Or I know I would feel a lot more at ease with someone like Langley on the team sheet than I do with some of these other guys. And the reason why is because some of these guys, I've seen the same mistakes. They haven't learned from them. And it's been happening for a period of time. And I'm just at the point, I just want them gone. And I think they have to go in order for this club to progress. I think someone like Langley, I think, he would just suit us better, coming in as a backup than persisting with guys that we already keep getting the same answers from, regardless whether they start, whether they're backups. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think only if it's a good deal, a really good deal for the club, 5 to 10 million, something like that. Anything more than that, I just don't think it's worth it. And I think there's just so many better targets out there that we can acquire, in my opinion.
I agree with that.
And I think as well, like, if we're moving to a back 4 next season, let's say if Pochettino comes, I mean, Langley got destroyed week in, week out in a back 4 for Barcelona. So, I mean, I'm not sure about that either.
But at this moment in time, most people favor him to be the starter in a back 4, because a lot of people have asked for Conte to switch to a back 4, and they've listed Longley next to Romero is the ideal choice. So, so many people in this team, so many center backs that can't start in a back four. It seems like Romero's the only
absolutely
one.
Right. Dyer, Davis, and
Tanganga
Longley all
definitely
play in
can't.
a
We saw
back four.
before. Almost all of them, I think,
Yeah,
bar Romero,
yeah.
you would say. And it's
Facts
another
on
problem
G.
that I think has gone ignored.
Benji does raise a good point. The Langley deal has to be favourable to Tottenham. It's got to be cheap. So, and everybody in the chat, let us know what price do you check out of a Langley deal? What prices you out of the market for Clement Langley? Let us know. But big up Dark Sun G. Really appreciate the support, my man, and let me know. And then we've got Tottenham Teacher. Good to see you in the building. He says, big up, lads. Can't wait for next year. I coach 3 sports stateside, €5 an hour, and a lot of teens. I am a better teacher, so I'm getting out of that game. More time, more streams, a drum coach now. Absolutely love it. Big up, Tottenham Teacher. Hopefully it works out for you, my man, following your dream. Fair play to you, brother. Let us know. Let us know how you're getting on. Let us know how you find it. Do the teams, are the parents on the sideline chanting Tottenham Teacher out? Let us know, my man. Big yourself up, though.
Big yourself up, Mario. It was good to see you in the chat the other day as well, my friend. So hopefully you heard me, give you a big hello and a big welcome. Good to have you back, Mario. And also, as well as a drum coach, maybe we need you for the Crystal Palace, away game. We can get a rival drummer against the Crystal Palace drummer. Big yourself up, Mario.
Big up, Mario. Good to see you, my man. And then we've got Jory in the building. Big up, Jory. Hope you're keeping
Jorical, come on.
He says, Ben the GOAT is in the house. Yeah.
Come on.
Ben GOAT, Emerson GOAT. We're getting a lot of GOATs this week. He says, big up. Question, if you come to the realization that THFC is currently a front for North London real estate business, would it change your support? Good question.
For me, Tottenham's just ingrained in me since I was very, very young. And no matter who owns the club, no matter who plays for the club, no matter who's managing the club, I'm always going to bleed blue and white. So it is just what it is with me. And look, it leaves a bitter taste in my mouth that we are a front for a real estate business and an investment club. But I'm just the mug that goes every week and pays the money and sees the team, but it's not going to change because it's ingrained in me, and it's like I can't do anything else.
This is the thing, right? Whether you're in League Two, whether you're in the Premier League, whether you're in Europe Conference League or Champions League, doesn't matter who owns the club, what manager's in charge. We're still all going to get behind the club. We're still all going to watch the games. We're still all going to, want the best. I'll be honest, Jerry, for me, again, same as Ben, I don't think it really makes a difference. I'm still going to love the club no matter what. Even my opinions, they're all based off what I believe is best for the club going forward, Same as every single one of us, our decisions are based off what we think is best for the club. And at the end of the day, like Ben said, we are mugs, no matter what. We're still going to be there supporting the team.
Yeah, and if I could even speak for the Americans, or the Yanks for it, Jory, I would say that a lot of us don't pick, whatever side that we might fall in love with, whatever side that might become our club. It's not really the ownership that we're picking or like anything like that. And it's not really, I would say, much of the ownership that drives us out of it either, too, because I think a lot of us do maybe see past maybe the ownership a lot. At least maybe I'm only saying that because I'm quite young. And so I kind of do think I will, still be a Spurs fan after Enoch and Levy. Of course, I could absolutely eat my words on that and never know they could be here forever. But it does seem like, Joracle, that a lot of, I think, Spurs fans, maybe on the American side as well, they don't really pick, the club based on the ownership. And I think maybe a lot of us as well might think that we'll probably be here after Enoch and Levy. And so it's really just about the club that we're watching week in and week out. And of course, I do think that ownership at the end of the day, it does take a toll though on your love and your attachment. That's why a lot of fans sometimes boycott games, maybe even give up their season ticket often, is because the ownership has made them do that. The ownership has made them feel like they can no longer support the club. And you've seen that with Newcastle. You've seen that with plenty of clubs, in the past. You see that with Spurs, even some Spurs fans just don't go to the games because of, what the ownership has done. But you still hear them say that they're still a Spurs fan at the end of the day. And they're more or less just waiting till they recognize their club again in that case. So I just feel like most fans, even if the ownership has driven maybe their love for the club, to some limits, they still, have that love for the club, I think, no matter what. I think a lot of fans. Yeah.
And I will just add quickly that, although we are blinded by our love for the club, every single one of us still should be concerned about, who is in charge, who's going to take over, who's in the dugout. We can still care about them problems, but at the end of the day, all we can do is bitch, bleat, and moan because we're not in a position to influence it. Most of what goes on anyway. So, I've kind of accepted that a long time ago, Jerry, where it's like, look, I can share my opinions and stuff like that, but I'm not in a position to affect anything, at the end of the day. Ben, I did think you wanted to say something, did you?
Yeah, I was just going to say, look, like since I was 6 years old, it's been the only constant thing in my life, like since that age. So it's not going to change till the day I die.
Foundation.
So it is what it is.
Yeah, it's the foundation of who Ben is, really. Exactly right. It's part of his whole life. Exactly right. Pick yourself out.
Look, it's like everybody out there, like Ben's saying, from a young kid, it's the one thing that's been constant. You've gone through different grades in school, different girlfriends, you've tried different cuisine, different cars, whatever it may be. But the one constant thing in your life has always been Tottenham Hotspur. It's always been there.
You seem like you loved your answers.
The constant being let down. We love it.
It's a good question, Joracle. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate you. I appreciate your appreciation, and thank you as well for listening to us. And I know it's not always maybe even answers that people may agree on, but I do appreciate the fact that people do see it from different lenses. Dark Sun G saying 12 million max or 1 more year loan with a 10 million mandatory. For me, I think 10 million is actually the max for me, Dark Sun G. I don't know if I'd pay more than 10 million for Longley, but I do think he is achievable for under 10 million. And that maybe is more to do with the fact that I don't think Barcelona go into this situation with a lot of, leverage in the negotiations. Like they need money, and also they need to get rid of these players that Xavi doesn't want. So it's not like they go into it, with a lot of leverage. I think it's more Spurs that go into it, maybe being able to negotiate it to the best way that they please. So I could see it going for under 10 million.
It'd be nice. Look, 10, 12 million, I'm not sure there's much of a difference in football nowadays. That's like me and you arguing over 2 pence, Jack, in terms of football money. But
sometimes that's
not if you ask Daniel Levy, mate. Not if you ask Daniel Levy.
True.
Yeah, exactly.
Very true.
Exactly.
And then KPV says, Benji, you will get covered in ketchup and mayo and shaving foam. Wow. Oh. I'm not sure you'll even get into the stadium with them, to be honest with you, KPV, but ambitious.
You know what, KPV? You can do the mayo, you can do the shaving foam, but leave that red shit alone. You know what I mean? Don't ever touch me with anything red.
As well, though, I honestly think the sirens will probably go off in the Tottenham Stadium and you'll have Conte and his cronies after you. Ketchup and mayo's fine, KPV. You know that, man. Come on, KPV, you're better than this. Big up, my man. Big up, KPV. Big up, Dark Sun G. Big up, Jerry, as well, guys. Absolutely, really appreciate the support and good talking points. Good questions as well. But Jacko, we've got more talking points, right?
Last question, I think. Last question here, everybody. And also, Dave, I think be careful of KPV. He might meet you with a stone cold stunner of shaving foam, when he sees you. Lucas Moura to Fenerbahce here, everybody. And it's kind of like it seems to have picked up today, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't see anything about it until today. And really, the question more is that if this does go through, it's been a bit of a weird kind of final season for Lucas Moura, if you ask me. Fenerbahce, though, are finalizing terms to sign Lucas Moura. The player has been offered a 3-year contract, and Spurs are willing to let him leave for free. Fenerbahce have had their transfer window extended until March 5th to complete the deal, and their transfer window, has been extended. Brought to you by Saba News. Do you feel like it's been a weird final season for Lucas, Ben? Because I feel like he mysteriously picked up that injury, and then all of a sudden, we didn't see much of him. I just felt like he was going to play a bigger role this season in his final season.
Yeah, I thought so too. I think Conte thought so as well, but I think injuries have held him back massively. He's been out injured for pretty much the whole season up until the last couple of games. He's been on the bench. So obviously injuries have hampered him massively. I thought we weren't going to see him again a few weeks ago, but obviously we saw him come on in the last game ahead of Danjuma, by the way. And look, I think it's annoying because we've needed the options there, especially when we had a lot of injuries in the earlier part of the season. But I think Lucas Moura's time at Spurs came to an end probably last season, to be honest. I mean, he hasn't produced a good display from what I can remember since the beginning stages of last season. I mean, I can't remember the last time he put in a good display, really. And just think he's past his sell-by date, and we probably should have got rid of him last summer.
Interesting. I kind of feel like with Lucas, though, is that if he is going to be leaving this season, for somebody that has been around for so long, it is just such a strange way for a guy like him to sort of end it. And if he is going to maybe head off to Fenerbahce in this sort of unexpected way, maybe a bit of a subtle way too, that's a bit quiet, do you feel like that's not really the way that a legend would be sent off? Don't you think, Dave? I feel like if Lucas Moura were a Spurs legend, wouldn't he have a better send off? Wouldn't he have maybe better terms of circumstances of, going?
Look, first of all, this rumor's come about because the Turkish transfer window is still open with what's going on over there. So that's how this deal has come about. I think maybe if this wasn't a circumstance, he would end up being here to the end of the season, and he'd probably get the last game at home to be clapped and walk around the pitch, all this sort of stuff, which, look, if you're still a Tottenham player and you're leaving, fair enough. But, to call him a legend is a bit of a stretch, to be honest with you. I mean, look, he had that night in Ajax, great hat trick, helped us get to a Champions League final. But look, me, I want to see more out of players. I want to see more consistency. I think the player that I saw at PSG and that I thought we were getting, that I saw at Tottenham, I think are two complete different players. I think at PSG, he showed his raw pace. He showed, he can score goals from distance. He's got a bull of a right foot on him. And I think we've only really seen sort of glimpses at that, with him doing that at Tottenham. I think ever since we've signed him, he's sort of struggled to nail down a first-team place as well. I think when there's been options to select ahead of him, they have been selected. Look, I'll forever be grateful for that moment in Amsterdam because, I grew up as a kid watching Arsenal, Chelsea, United, Liverpool, competing Champions League football. And I've always wanted to be there. I've always wanted to try and be on the biggest stage in club football. And Lucas Moura helped get us there when we seem dead and buried. And I'll be forever grateful. But one night does not make a legend. Even if you want to compare him to, big goals for Tottenham, you can pull out goals from Gaza, who done it on a more consistent basis. You can pull out goals from Son, even who's done it on a more.
Is Dele Alli more of a legend?
No.
How do you define legend, though?
That's what I'm curious. But then I was thinking, is maybe Lucas Moura like more of a cult hero? Because that's what it would maybe be.
That's what I was thinking.
Because he has the Moura sexual club. Like he has a bit of a cult kind of fan base, not as much of a legend sort of like fan base. Like people love the guy. It's like more other factors maybe why they love it.
I don't even know if it's
I don't know how to define the word legend because we haven't won anything in the past, however many years it is. 2008 was our last trophy. People defined legendary status with people that win trophies, right? That do big moments in big games, consistently good over a course of a number of years. I mean, we haven't signed anyone, but then that means what? Son's not a legend, Kane's not a legend. Of course, they're legends. But Lucas Moura can't be classed in the legendary category for one night. He can't be.
Gareth Bale
he's a player.
as a legend, I would say.
Like Lucas Moura, he goes down as a player that's very close to my heart because of that night in Amsterdam, because of the way he shows his love for Tottenham Hotspur, for the way that he's conducted himself while he's here. He's been a very good servant to this football club. We haven't got the consistency out of him that we might have wanted over the course of the time he is here, but I do think he's been a good servant to the club, and I think that's as much as it stretches, to be honest. And I have a lot of love for him. But to call him a legend, I think, is just a bit of a stretch too far.
It's almost like his Champions League goal was like, this might sound harsh or maybe even playing it down, but it's almost like Yunus Kabul's, away winner with the header, kind of goal, where it's like at the end of the day, like Yunus Kabul, like he had good games here and there, but like he just didn't really live up to that sort of height or that sort of, that status that he could be this big, powerful defender and everything. And like Lucas, I feel like has a similar arc where he was expected to be so much more than he ever was and didn't ever really live up to the potential, you could say. He still had great games mixed here and there, but never really on a consistent display, or you couldn't even point to like a season, I think, where like Lucas Moura really went off or like something like that. I don't even know if that could even be the case.
His best season was what? His best moment was when Jose moved him into centre.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like maybe that Jose time period, but
Yeah,
it's still
maybe
in a
then.
memorable time period as well. So I just
But the difference is between Yunus Kabul and Lucas Moura. I mean, Yunus Kabul did it to get us into the Champions League, right? And Lucas Moura did it in the Champions League, getting us to a final, which is like so beyond the realms of possibility that we ever thought. Like that night in Amsterdam was like literally one of the best nights of my life, and like he gave it to me. So I'm always
Answer
gonna love
Lisa's
the guy.
question here. If we had won the Champions League final, would your answer be different?
Nope. Because
What
the
if
way
he scored? What if he scored the winner?
No. Look.
If he scored the winner, he'd be a legend. Come on, who would it be?
Look, for me, a legend is someone that's given good long-term service for the club, has been consistent over a good period, a good number of years at the football club. You know, there's a player that can have moments. There's players that win trophies that never really play too much of a part on it. Yeah, you know, for me, I think a legend has got to be someone that's given the club unbelievable service on a consistent basis for a number of years. You know, stand out head and shoulders above the rest. So
even like you point to that era, or you point to those years, and you know that player, like that's the player that defined those years or defined that era. You could say, and he certainly doesn't. He doesn't fit that.
Ben, you answer your own question though. If he scored the winner in Champions League final, would you put him down as
Sounds
legend?
like yes, Lisa. Sounds like yes.
I said yes, 100%. Anyone that scores a winner in the Champions League final, I don't care if it's Ben Davis. He's being a legend at this football club. You're talking about the biggest trophy in club football here. You're not talking about winning a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup. You're talking.
Do you think Kai Havertz goes
League.
down as like a legend then? You know, for Chelsea,
or
is it different in their case versus ours?
Yeah, it's a good question actually, and it's actually thrown me off a bit. But
because there are a lot of like there are a lot of big players that score goals in the big moments, but then never do it ever again. Like
it's true. I mean, I can't answer for Chelsea fans, to be honest. I'm just
like it's Mario Götze,
own...
like a German legend. For I don't know if he is. I don't think he is. I don't think he is.
No?
I think he just scored a goal in a World Cup final. I think that's all that it is.
Was it a winning goal?
It's a winning goal. That's a point you make there. It's an interesting distinction.
Just quickly before
winning goal in a World Cup or Champions League final. Surely he's a legend. Surely.
Take some balls. That's
I
what
suppose we won't know until that moment happens. Really, I'll decide when that moment happens. But Benji, you were out in Milan the other day. Did you get to see Sandro? I believe he was out there in the way in with the way crowd.
Nah, I got back to the hotel and I'm seeing all these pictures and selfies with people with Sandro and all these people I was with as well. And I was just like, what's going on here? I didn't get to see him. And it's such a shame because we interviewed him not long ago, like a month or two ago. And I would have loved to have seen him, but no, unfortunately not. What a trip though. Unbelievable trip. By
the way, what an interview as well. Everybody do get over and check that out. I really enjoyed listening to what Sandro had to say. It was really, really good. We'll take this Sunji super chat and then look, we'll get out of here because, I've got about 10 pancakes stacked together. I know everyone else out there is jealous and I can smell them and I want to eat them. Dark Sun G says, legend, King, Defoe, Son, Kane, Modric, Bale, Toby, Jan, Walker, Rose, Pride, Hero, Lucas, Deli, Ericsson, Trippier, Sandro. The difference is who you first think of for Spurs. Right.
I think that's spot on, to be honest. Maybe not the players, but I think it's spot on that Lucas Moura is a hero, not a legend.
Yeah, cult hero. For me, cult hero. Yeah. I agree with maybe how he puts it. The difference is who you first think of for Spurs. I think it's like you just look at a certain era or maybe you point to a certain year or something like that. And it's like one or two players probably come to mind immediately. Those players are more likely to have been legends. Maybe even those players might not even be legends at the end of the day. They might have just been great players during that season. But that's the thing with Lucas. Like I can't point to a particular season or a particular year where I was like, Lucas Moura, hands down, best player that season, really took the team by storm. It's just not the case, even despite his Champions League exploits, even despite his Champions League moments. Like I can't still say that like 2018 was his year or like something like that. You know what I mean? It just doesn't feel that way. So
it pains me though. It pains me to look at that list of legends and like one trophy between them all.
Robbie Keane's missing. A bit disappointed with Dark Sun G on that one. I thought you'd sneak Robbie Keane in there somewhere. But look, even them guys labeled as heroes. struggle to see what makes him a hero. Like my Outland is my hero. You know, he's given me 32 years of great service. He's been consistent with his service, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. I just struggle to call these guys heroes as well. I think, look, decent players, okay players.
You can call them players.
Yeah, I wouldn't go anywhere.
I think the only one on that list that's a hero is Lucas Moura, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, you know, we're going to let the people decide out there, because I'm not going to sit here all night, you know, arguing back and forth and, you know, on hero stars for Lucas. I'll be honest, I've got better things to be doing. But no, look, everybody, we're going to leave you with the deciding vote on that. Lucas Moura, hero or zero? Jack, what does the poll say? You put out a poll?
I didn't do out a poll, Dave. I kind of just left it as a question there, but yeah, it's kind of on me. You know, I asked you about it earlier. I should have done it as a poll. Big mistake on my part. Everybody, maybe we'll do that next time around or something for like a fan show or something like that. You know, get a good poll going on it. But for me, I'll answer it. Not a legend. Hero. Cult hero.
Me, I'm just going to say he was at Spurs. Yeah, thanks for the Champions League night. Look, I'm a bit harsher on these players than most. Everyone knows that. That's on G. I'm only messing with you, man. I'm only having a bit of banter. I know the situation. Big yourself up, though, brother. Ben, you're going to end on Lucas Moura, hero?
And then also tell us about maybe anything your Tom TV, you know, anything to look forward to. What's coming up?
Just Chelsea previews and stuff like that between the end of the week and stuff. We got Lewis from Blues Fan TV coming on for a collab, and very much looking forward to getting into that stadium this weekend. And I think I'm one of the volunteers to wave one of the flags at the stadium this weekend. So looking forward to that.
Come on.
Nice. Love that. Everybody, you know, look, I always maintain there's always one out there that doesn't know. And every little helps. So get over there and smash the subscribe on We Are Tottenham TV. Of course, you know, Ben and Sim, two great guys, you know, sort of paved the way for me, you know, to come in, welcome me into the community. And, you know, they put out great content, you know, even through that Champions League run, you know, they got us through it, you know. So fair play to the two boys. Get over there and smash the subscribe button. As for myself and Jacko, what's coming up, we'll be back here tomorrow with something. I think we're going to do a compare and Marcus Thuram to Son, you know, see is Marcus Thuram good enough to sort of come in and give Son competition for place, because that's rumor out there today. And then we'll probably do something live as well tomorrow. So stay tuned, everybody. Go and enjoy your pancakes. Don't have too many. Don't get too sick. We'll see you all back here tomorrow. As always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
In Conte we trust.
In Conte I trust. See you, everybody.
Big up.
Everywhere we go.